Iraqi vehicles still sit, destroyed in the final hours of the war. This has been a Gulf War update.
You've heard about the wonder drug Prozac. It was on the cover of Newsweek magazine. I want you to meet people who had their lives lost loved ones because they took Prozac. They're blaming Prozac for the tragedies in their own lives. Leanne Westover is the widow of Del Shannon, the rock star. Here is a young man who hit it big and then was coming back with a fabulous new chapter of his career when he killed himself. He did so while taking Prozac for depression. Jackie Miller is one of the victims of Joseph Westbecker. He's the mass murderer who went on a rampage in Louisville, Kentucky in late 1989. Do you remember this? He shot 20 people, killing 8. He shot Jackie Miller 4 times, and she survived. Bonnie Leach joins us. She attempted suicide while taking Prozac and was revived in the hospital emergency room. Also with us is Brenda Hargis, who was taking Prozac to help her lose weight when she began fantasizing and actually planning the murder of her husband and children, as well as her own suicide. Eli Lilly, the giant pharmaceutical company, makes Prozac, and they are not at all thrilled with this program. You should also know that Prozac is approved for prescription use in the United States and is a gigantic hit. Millions of people who are depressed are taking Prozac, and it helps. Steps forward these people to say, if you or someone you love is taking Prozac, you better keep an eye on them. It is possible that for a certain small percentage of Prozac users, rearranging the neurotransmitters of the brain as it must do can cause not only self-destructive, relentless self-destructive interests, but in some cases violent ones as well. Leanne, are you sure that Prozac did Del in?
I'm positive.
I said he was on the leg of a new career, and he was, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And just tell me, if you can, however painful this might be for you. You knew him since childhood, didn't you?
Yes.
And were married to him well, you lived with him and then were married to him at the time of his death, you were married?
Yes,
What, if anything, do you remember about his behavior? Did he say anything? Was there anything that, did a yellow light go on at all?
Just that he didn't know what was the matter with him after he took the Prozac. I watched him turn into somebody that was agitated, pacing, trembling hands. He basically went from somebody who was very much in control of himself to somebody that couldn't formulate a thought at times. Are
you our litigant now? Are you suing Lily?
Yes, I am.
All right, so now we'll be honest here about, and I know that you've, your lawyer is here, former New York State Supreme Court judge.
I'll take the other one.
You're a former New York State Supreme Court judge, Leonard Finns. I assume you don't want your client to say anything. Did your husband discuss suicide prior to his death at all?
No.
Motor activity, then. A lot of pacing, you say.
Pacing, insomnia, couldn't function. You know, would go in the office and try to make some business decisions and come back out 2 minutes later and just could not get himself together. Was he drug-free at the time of his death? Yes. Yes. Including alcohol? He was sober for 12 years. He was a recovering alcoholic. He had episodes of depression before in his life. Very mild. Nothing that wasn't manageable. Nothing that a normal person would not. Right. Was he ever institutionalized for depression? No. How old was he? 55. And it was a handgun? A rifle. A rifle. And you discovered the body. Jackie Miller. Wow. That you are walking around. Yeah.
This was a printing plant in Louisville, printed Sunday supplements.
Right.
Westbecker worked there. He was on leave at the time of this massacre.
Yeah, long-term disability.
He shot 20 people, including you.
Right.
You saw him. Did he look in your eye before he pulled the trigger?
No.
He had an AK-47, is that right? Do I
right,
understand?
he had an AK-47. What had happened was when I went out into the hall to see what the commotion was, I had to turn, and when I turned, I was eye level with a rifle. And I just stopped, and I looked up into the face of who was holding the rifle. I didn't know who he was. And as soon as I looked into his face, my first instinct was, oh my God, I'm going to die. Because this man was totally devoid of any human element, any human soul.
Like wooden eyes, then?
He was just gone. There wasn't anything there. And I knew he wanted me dead. I knew this. So I ran to go back into my office to get my gun that I had on me that day to try to stop him.
It was in your purse?
Yes, it was in my purse. But I stopped to help someone.
Why they want to know?
Why I had a gun?
Yeah.
Because 9 years ago I was attacked in a parking lot by 3 men and no one bothered to help me. And I vowed that never again my protection would be put in someone else's hands.
But we should make it clear to this.
New show.
Hey, let's everybody get a gun, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, you can't be too sure. I'm kind of suspicious of you, as a matter of fact, you know. How do I know that you don't?
Yesterday, my friend was robbed in the subway, and she didn't have anything on her.
Well, we're giving now in good old America, this gets a hand.
No.
Somebody sneezes behind you. Hey! This back row looks kind of suspicious to me, too. Sorry, Jackie.
That's
Tell your
okay.
story here. This isn't so funny, boy. What happened to you?
Well,
Wow.
anyway, I stopped to help someone who had already been shot. I wanted to make sure she got back into her office because I knew if he got to her first before I could get to my gun, he'd kill her because he'd already shot her before. So it took time away from me getting to my gun, so he just basically got to me before I could get to him.
You had a bullet pass through your entire body.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 2, technically. The first one went through my chest, totally through my chest.
Obviously not striking the heart or...
It missed all major organs. Being fat comes in handy. The doctors, you know.
All right. There's a nice hand for carrying a gun and for fat people. Well, you're gonna let us laugh about this, Jackie. It's the only way we're gonna get through this. This had to be
You either laugh or
some
give
kind
up.
of night. Yeah. You didn't even lose consciousness.
No, none of us did. None of the 20 people. Well, 16, 8 died. But none of the 16 that made, the 12, I'm sorry, none of the 12 that made it did. Everyone was conscious till they got to the hospital.
And tell me what you think you know about Mr. Westbecker and Prozac.
Well, I know that except for a span 10 years ago where he had once before tried to commit suicide, he had never had any violent tendencies except for that one spell. He had never tried to hurt anyone else. Everyone who knew him to just be your average, nice Joe.
He was under psychiatric care at the time of the incident, isn't that so?
Yes.
And is the judge your lawyer as well?
No, sir.
But I represent the estate, and I represent more than half of the victims of that Louisville massacre, Phil.
Okay. And you will present in evidence, as you will share with us in a little bit, the notes of the psychiatrist who made them following the last appointment with Mr. Westbecker.
Yes, Phil, that and hopefully much more.
All right.
Yes.
Bonnie Leach, do I have your pronunciation right?
No, it's Leach.
My apologies. Miss Leach. Well, here you are looking well. Let's start with the good news. But you did try to do yourself in, Ms. Leach. Tell us.
Well, just like the rest of the victims, and let me clarify one thing right up front. This isn't such a small group as they would want you to believe.
All right, I expected that to be corrected, but please...
It's a much larger group. As the national director of the Prozac Survivor Support Group, In little old Louisville, Kentucky, I have received over 300 phone calls with adverse side effects. And we're not talking about skin rashes, as Lily would have you to believe. We are talking about mothers who think about killing their children. We're talking 13-year-old children throwing themselves through plate glass windows. We are talking 16-year-old girls trying to commit suicide. Nice little ladies working in churches who take money from the funds to pay for their Prozac. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah. Tell me, do you remember what you felt in your head?
Well, Prozac is so overwhelming, you would not believe it. Your mind runs like a freight train. It constantly goes. There is, the first 6 weeks I was on this drug, everything goes through your mind. Like you walk through a door, you don't just walk through a door. Everything is animated. You see every thought, every move, the door frame. Constantly, there's thoughts in your mind. You do nothing that's simple. You see every aspect of it. You cannot sleep. You cannot rest. You cannot sit down. I had akathisia with Prozac.
What is that?
That's pacing back.
That's pacing back and forth, not being able to sit down, not being able to sleep.
Wes Becker had it too.
And there is
movement,
no rest.
A lot of movement.
It is literally that you cannot be still. You cannot sit,
unable to sit down.
lay,
Well, let me just
do
get
anything.
this in. How do you pronounce this? Fluoxetine?
Fluoxetine.
Fluoxetine is the pharmaceutical name for Prozac. More than 3 million people have taken it. The Wall Street Journal tells us that Prozac made about $700 million last year, and for Eli Lilly, the gross numbers will probably be $1 billion this year. This is big business. I say again, to the protest of some of our guests, that millions and millions of people are taking Prozac without side effect and without the ensuing hallucinatory, self-destructive, overwhelming energies reported by our guests today.
We hope.
Well, since when, then, can we, the FDA, approve a drug like Nazi Germany and say, you can die, you can live, you can die, and you can live? How would you like to play Russian roulette with your life when we are supposed to be protected by the FDA, which obviously we are not, because these things would not be occurring?
Yeah. Are you there, caller?
Good morning.
Yeah. You take this stuff?
I took it last year. I took it for 6 months.
And tell me.
I was horribly affected by Prozac.
Tell me what you felt.
I went through a period of intense anxiety. I couldn't sit. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stand still. I had to walk around constantly. I had violent outbursts. I had 2 young children. They were 6 and 3 at the time. I felt at times that my husband actually had to remove them from the house, that I was so overwhelmingly adverse to anything that they did. I couldn't tolerate anything that they could do. I had nightmares. I had just such a horrible experience with it.
Right. You're off it now.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It was absolutely terrible.
You can see your TV set.
Yes.
Brenda Hargis is here. Does she ring any bells at all with you, this caller?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me.
While I was on the drug for 3 months, I experienced a lot of anxiety, and I found myself scheming all the time on how I could kill myself, but yet leave my family in good shape, you know, like I had life insurance, you know, I wanted to make sure they were prepared when I went. And then in the state of Iowa, you can't collect your insurance for suicide, so then I decided, well, I couldn't do that anyway. I mean, I couldn't leave my children, so I would have to take them with me. You know, I would have to, that's the way I felt.
You actually thought about, oh my God, the young one will see the old one, or the old one, whoever you shoot first. Did you get into that kind of...
Yes, I went through who would have to go first. And, you know, and...
Now, just, do I understand, Ms. Hargis, that you were taking Prozac to help lose weight?
And for postpartum depression.
How old was your baby at the time?
About 3 months old.
Uh-huh.
And I had another one 13 months older than that.
So you have two babies in diapers.
Right.
So, not unlike a lot of women, you really kind of hit the blues pretty good after your second baby. And you go to the doctor, regular GP type.
Right.
And he prescribes it. Is that right?
Right. I said, you've got to help me because my husband just can't. I'm treating him terrible. I'm having severe depression. And he asked me what I was depressed about, and I said, you know, I've got 2 babies, I'm overweight. And he said, well, there's a new drug out on the market called Prozac, and it will help lose weight as well as relieve your depression.
Mm-hmm. Was there any, tell me, and when you take a pill like that, you must stand there waiting for something to happen, don't you?
Well, I think for the first week to 2 weeks, I felt great because I wanted to so bad. And then after that, the thoughts came, and I had no idea it was the drug. But even when I was severely depressed from postpartum, I never thought of killing myself, let alone my children and my husband.
There's some very important points here that shouldn't be gone by.
Let me tell them who you are, Dennis. Dennis Clark, you're Citizens Commission on Human Rights. You're fighting to have the drug Prozac taken off the market, and you wanted to say briefly, sir.
Yes. There is a tremendous problem with this drug in the way that she's talking about, and that people are killing themselves and making it appear to be accidents. They're running head-on into other individuals with their cars. They're running into bridge abutments and so on. And it appears to be accidents because the drug is producing in these people an obsessive, violent need to kill and to be killed.
Yes. It is reported in the medical literature, and the evidence has been presented to the New England Journal of Medicine in a letter to the journal from physicians.
And in an article.
Who are following this.
As much as 7% of the people developing obsessive, violent, suicidal preoccupation.
Right. Now, in the absence of Eli Lilly, who declined the invitation to be on our program, they have the good fortune of having me as their defender. Well, it's their fault they didn't show. One more time, millions of people are taking this drug around the world.
Or have taken it.
Violent tendencies and self-destructive imaginings have been reported in a certain small percentage of patients. These folks want you to know that the number isn't so small. Lilly says it is. And at the very least, the public health group, the Ralph Nader-founded organization in Washington, has already released its own report on this, saying that at the least, the warnings on the package should now be bolder and more specific. It should be noted that this, the Public Health Research Group did not call for its removal. One of the good things about Prozac, apparently, is that it has a good side effect profile, which is a fancy way of saying it has very few side effects.
Well, that's absolutely not true.
Because also, you cannot forget that I don't buy it, because the symptoms they are describing are symptoms that are typical of depression.
That's another thing that Lilly makes that point.
That's right, and depression is one of the...
We shouldn't be surprised these people are killing themselves. They were depressed in the first place.
Exactly right.
What's the matter here? Yeah.
I was on Prozac in October and November, and it only took 6 weeks for my husband to tell me you've gone over the edge. I stood in one place for over an hour. I thought about head-on collisions, but I said, it's my parents' car. I can't do that. I was going to put my head in the oven, and I got off of it, luckily, soon enough, got on another antidepressant, and I'm fine. No. But I want to sue. I want to kill these people because I almost killed myself.
Now, you would stand in a... So you were a sort of, you were fully conscious, right?
Yes, and I realized that it's the easiest drug for a doctor to prescribe because it's the easy out for them, and I don't want to be an easy out. And I have friends who are on Prozac who are fine, and that's good for them, but I want to look out for those of us who are not fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, people in the society that you help, the Prozac Society, is it possible that they're taking the drug for wrong reasons or have been prescribed it for reasons like weight loss, and the drug is not meant to be doing that to them?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, there are people taking it for all kinds of reasons and coming up with the same kinds of problems. Right. And the side effects profile for Prozac, by the way, is horrendous. This is a drug which frequently causes bronchitis in individuals, lung infection, infrequently but not rarely causes a type of pneumonia which can be fatal. It causes high blood pressure, low blood pressure, it causes impotence, and a whole catalog of very serious problems.
Are you there, caller? I'm glad you waited.
Yes, I am. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm 19 years old, and at 18, I was part of a survey of people to take Prozac. I went off it after 3 months because I had terrible side effects. I was nervous all the time. I couldn't watch the subways go by because my head would just start spinning, and I was severely hyper. Once I went off it, I became severely manic depressive. I have crying spells, yelling and screaming at everybody, and I'm only 19 years old now, and it's like ruined my life.
You are certain that, how are you now?
I'm still very depressed.
Are you medicated?
No, I'm not. I'm scared to be medicated after that.
Right. You are certain that you believe in your heart that your behavior and depression was provoked by the pill.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I was not this bad before I took the pill. I was just, you know, very depressed and looking for an answer. I guess that's normal for an 18-year-old. And I kind of just signed over my life when I signed over to take it. And now it's just, I'll yell and scream at anybody.
I appreciate very much your testimony. Here's a first. We're 20 minutes into this, and the lawyer hasn't spoken yet. Very good. I must be doing something right here.
That's a first.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Are you there, caller? Hi.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
I'm very, very angry because Prozac saved my life. I'm angry because I feel that I was suicidal prior to taking Prozac. I was on tricyclic antidepressants that did not work. These people are not under the care of a psychiatrist weekly as I am. I'm 42 years old. I live on Long Island, and until I was taking Prozac, I was obsessive-compulsive, suicidal. I had anxiety attacks, panic attacks constantly. Yeah. Racing thoughts which have disappeared.
Yeah.
And I'm angry.
Yeah. Now, just let me chat with you for a second, and someday I'm going to have a longer show. So we don't have a lot of time.
Yes, I understand.
Why are you angry? Why not be grateful that it helped you? What would move you to be angry? You cannot, you know, you do not get to call up and tell these people they're lying.
I'm not suggesting
Now, well, but you know, and we have a responsibility to them to believe what they say.
Why am I not on your program as well?
Well, that's what Lily wants to know. That's what Lily wants to know.
That's right. I hear.
Well, we know why Lily's.
You know, but let's get this in again. Lily declined to be here.
Because
now Lily will be able to flood your whole studio with people like yourself who think Prozac is just rosy ducky. And we have made that point. We've made that point.
I'm saying that it saved my life.
I believe you. I believe you. I'm not mad at you.
In New York hospital because I tried to commit suicide, and my son had to bring me over to the hospital.
Right. Now you're not connected to anybody at Lilly, right?
No, I'm not. I needed to go to Rhonda.
Hang on a minute, caller. Meet Rhonda Hella.
Something very, very important to say to this
I don't know
caller.
how you got in the audience here, Rhonda, but you get the humble award here. But what is not so funny is what happened to you. Tell them.
I was placed on Prozac with no history of mental illness because of an back injury, and I had a trauma-induced stress syndrome. I was under intense therapy, including 58 days in my initial stay in the hospital. I went from somebody who was never depressed to a person who became violent toward my doctor, attacked him 3 times physically, attempted suicide 6 times, and slashed my body over 150 times. And you say Prozac is great. Well, honey, I'm glad it's good for you because it put me through living hell.
The Lilly lawyers are going to say, hey, there are people out there with problems. Things happen, and now they're blaming our pill. These were people who were sick in the first place. We have a community of people who are more likely to do this. Don't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And you should see our tests. They'll give you charts in 20 minutes on the tests and how they do this.
We've got the tests.
And Lily is going to court, and there's a whole lot of lawyers smelling some dough here. And that, incidentally, is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm going to give you all a chance to get in on this. We got all kinds of hands. You on it? Who's on it? You're on it? You're on it. I got a break here, but what did you want to say?
It works for me. I have seasonal affect disorder. I'm always down, in the wintertime, and after 42 years, I gave up on not using anything, not taking pills, and reluctantly, and it works great.
No racing, no pacing, no...
Zero. I'm just enthusiastic in a way.
Okay, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Unlike our competition's elaborate packaging, you'll find no box inside the Budget Gourmet Light and Healthy Dinner Box. You'll find no bags. And you'll find no plates. Because these things cost money. Money we'd rather spend on the one thing you will find inside our box. Our delicious, low-fat, low-cholesterol, low-sodium food. Introducing the Budget Gourmet Light and Healthy Dinners. Healthy eating at reasonable prices.
It needs a little more time. Remember when the only way to get slow-cooked taste in the spaghetti sauce was to cook it all day? Introducing Ragu slow-cooked home-style sauce with that delicious slow-cooked taste that Grandma got when she cooked the sauce slow. If you love slow-cooked taste, you could cook for hours or taste all new Ragu slow-cooked home-style. A whole new answer to...
In the spirit of the Northwest, here's what's happening. The United Cerebral Palsy Association of Oregon and Southwest Washington, in cooperation with KATU, would like to recognize those special corporate sponsors that worked so hard in our 1990 fundraising campaign.
On behalf of the country's best yogurts, its associates and customers, we're proud to present this check for $3,500 to UCP.
Thanks to the efforts of TCBY, UCP can continue providing its clients with the opportunity for a more independent and successful life. You can still participate by sending your donation to this address.
That's Del Shannon, and his widow presents now to our program, Leon Westover. What a star he was. What a magnificent contribution he made to popular culture, and he is dead. He killed himself while taking Prozac, and his widow thinks that the pill is responsible. Here's what Lily... here's the statement Lily put together for us. Now, hey, trying to be fair here. Many patients feel that Prozac is a wonderful life-saving medicine, and its use has improved the quality of their lives. Prozac is widely accepted by regulatory agencies and physicians in more than 45 countries as a safe and effective treatment for depression. Depression is a terrible disease that carries a high risk of suicide. Medical science has yet to discover a way to completely prevent the fact that 1 in 6 patients will commit suicide. 25,000 patients participated in Prozac clinical trials, and it has been used by more than 3 million people worldwide. In an evaluation of more than 3,000 clinical trial patients with depression, serious suicidal thoughts occurred less often in people receiving Prozac than in people using other treatments. Clearly, the weight of medical opinion throughout the world supports the conclusion that Prozac does not cause suicide.
Absolute nonsense.
Judge, you get to speak. You really do. What do you want to do with your 30 seconds that I'm going to give you? No, I'm kidding. You are representing how many loved ones? You're representing the estate of the man who killed himself after killing 8 people in Louisville. Is that right?
Well, in addition to that, first of all, I've been quiet for almost 30 minutes because you're a great advocate when others are doing a far better job than you can ever do as a lawyer. And what I heard from these victims and what I heard from Rhonda Halla,
you're saying.
Totally compelling. First of all, I started the very first case against Eli Lilly on behalf of Rhonda Halla. 11 years ago, Phil, you might remember, I sat in this very chair when we sued Eli Lilly and had them and brought them to their knees because they produced a drug called DES that shattered the lives of millions and millions of women.
Not admissible. Not admissible in this trial, Judge.
Okay. Let me get what is admissible in this trial.
Make your point, yes.
Okay. Leanne Westover. Another. We represent Leanne Westover.
Del Shannon.
Del Shannon. Del Shannon would never have committed suicide but for Prozac. What does Prozac do? Prozac, Phil, takes what would be an idle fantasy, which we all have from time to time. And unlike that very nice lady said, well, aren't these people basically depressed? And after all, doesn't depression lead to suicide? I say, no, it does not. Because if that were the case, then 1 out of 3 people in this country would actually perform suicidal acts. What Prozac actually does, it takes the idle fantasy and it energizes the person, and it makes the person go to the outer edge to commit that self-mutilation.
Possibly true in some small number of cases.
Harvard said it is true. Harvard said it is true in 3.5% to 7%.
From the Public Citizen Health Research Group.
Let me go further.
Let me just give them this, Judge. The most frightening side effect reported in a very small fraction of people taking Prozac is an intense preoccupation with suicide. This effect is thought to result from Prozac's profound effect on serotonin.
That's correct.
On serotonin activity, a neurotransmitter whose role in agitation, violence, and suicide is not well understood. Dr. Martin Teicher, a psychiatrist at McLean Hospital in Belmont, Mass., reported 6 cases of patients who became dangerously obsessed with suicide after taking Prozac for 2 to 7 weeks, and he has heard of another 15 cases, including 1 successful suicide. Unrelenting, violent, suicidal thoughts persisted in these patients from as little as 3 days to as long as 3 months after Prozac was discontinued. Now, I say again, the Public Health Research Group, the Ralph Nader-founded organization, has not called for the removal of Prozac from the hand of your physician or the inventory of your pharmacist.
We have, and I'll tell you
I know
why
you
we
have. All right, I just want to set the record out here for these
I'd
folks.
like to swing to the Westbecker case for the moment. Joseph Westbecker, incidentally, we represent the estate. We also represent 10 of the victims, several of whom were killed, others of whom were maimed, similar to Jackie Miller over here.
Yes.
Joe Westbecker.
We should say that he killed himself after firing on 20 people and killing 8. He killed himself. And you wanted to make what brief point in advance of this?
The brief point is that he was on Prozac for 1 month. During this 1 month period of time, there was a different person who emerged. Here was a person who became an overnight killer. He would stare at things with whites in his eyes. In fact, his own psychiatrist, just 2.5 days before the killing, said, "I'm going to take you off Prozac. You have deteriorated before my eyes."
You have his notes, don't you?
We do.
And that'll be introduced in evidence in the trial, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Here's what the notes say. Notes made by Joseph Westbecker's doctor 2 days before the murder rampage in Louisville. Here's a guy who went into his place of work and randomly killed 8 people, wounding several more others, including one of our guests today. Patient seems to have deteriorated. Tangential thought, weeping in session, increased level of agitation and anger. Question from Prozac. Because of deterioration, the psychiatrist wrote, I encouraged patient to go into the hospital for stabilization, but he refused. Plan, discontinue Prozac, which may be cause. Return to clinic in 2 weeks.
And he let him walk out, and 3 days later he walked into history as one of the most offensive mass murders of the century. And this is a man who in his entire life had never struck his children, never struck his wife, had no history of violence, and never had an argument on the job in 32 years.
Are you there, caller?
I am, Phil. Hello. I'd like to say hello to everybody. I have mental illness, Phil. I've been on lithium for 21 years. My last hospitalization was for depression. I almost committed suicide by slicing my wrists. I have no problem with life or living, but it's the disease that I suffer from. And my doctor in this private hospital that I went into prescribed Prozac to me. And within 3 weeks, I felt wonderful. But it made me crazier than I was before I started taking it.
How did it make you crazier, briefly?
I thought, you know, like I was God.
Elevated.
That's what happened.
I thought that...
grandiosity is called.
Almost like an amphetamine-like syndrome.
Yeah.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Like being on cocaine.
It's like being on an upper. in some people.
It is a central nervous system stimulant.
I got a break, caller. I'm pleased that you called. I assume you're off the pill.
Yes, I am. But I want to say thank God to Lilly and all pharmaceutical companies, because when mental illness is one of the growing illnesses of the United States and all over the world, and drugs, I was supervised by a doctor severely.
Yeah. I've got a psychopharmacology is now very, very big. We got more pills now. And let's pray, you know, that a lot of lives are saved with the, you know, you can't come down universally on pills. I'll give you all a chance here in just a moment.
Saturday and Sunday only. Smith's Home Furnishings' greatest ever two-day sale. Featuring some of our greatest ever price reductions on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and electronics. Like a Sealy Posturepedic queen-size mattress and box springs for just $277. That's just $277 for a queen-size Posturepedic set. And other Sealy mattresses are at comparable savings during this sale. Plus, no down payment, no monthly payments, and no interest until September. Saturday and Sunday only. During the greatest ever two-day sale at Smith's.
Come join the good times at Walt Disney's World on Ice. Take off on a magical journey to Neverland as the classic tale of Peter Pan comes to life like never before. Mickey and Minnie will be there, Donald and Daisy too. There will be daring adventure with the Rescue Rangers, the dastardly deeds of the evil Captain Hook, and of course, you know who. Set your sights on adventure and good times and bring the whole family to Walt Disney's World on Ice.
Don't miss it now through Sunday. Good seats still available at the Coliseum box office and all Ticketmaster locations.
You're about to experience the smell of clean. Introducing concentrated Ultra Gain. Just one scoop has so much freshening power, it leaves your clothes smelling like sunshine. New concentrated Ultra Gain for clothes as clean as sunshine.
A clean home is a place you can feel good about. So treat yourself to the world's best whole home cleaning machine, the Power Steamer Deluxe by Bissell. The Power Steamer Deluxe lets you deep clean carpets, upholstery, and even bare floors with professional style water extraction cleaning and now stronger suction than ever before. So feel good about your home. Get your carpets, upholstery, and bare floors really clean. Don't rent. Clean anytime you like with your own whole home cleaning machine. The Bissell Power Steamer Deluxe, $159.99 at Meyer and Frank.
They beg, they borrow, they steal. They'll do anything for the woman they love.
I gave her my life because I wanted to give her my life. I wanted her to be my life. If she called me up tomorrow and said, Richard, please forgive me, I want you back, I'd go back to her.
Why would you, Richard?
Because I love her.
Because you love her.
You said that you would take her back. That's a win.
Holding on.
1, 2, 3, give it up! Men who are dumped on the next Oprah show.
Friday at 4 on KATU Channel 2. To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
I mentioned early in the program, Leanne Westover is the widow of Del Shannon, who killed himself while on Prozac. Is there anything you would want to share with us about the events of the day on which he killed himself for the purpose of our discussion here? I don't want you to have to say anything that's too painful for you, but we should hear more from you regarding your own... You are a litigant against Lily. Tell me.
It's all painful to talk about, and the thing is that I feel it's important enough to talk about. My last recollections of my husband were that he was making gigs, dates for gigs. He asked for things from the market. I kissed him goodbye in the kitchen and told him I would see him later, and he smiled.
No evidence of any particularly severe depression episode on that day?
Not that day. I just knew on and intermittently that approximately a week before he died that something was wrong, but we didn't know what. And before he died, before I went to the market, I thought my husband was fine. I thought he would be okay. It never, ever occurred to me that I would come home and find him dead. You asked me earlier about if he had ever spoken about suicide. He was very much against suicide. He counseled against suicide at halfway houses.
Bill, we have these by the hundreds, absolutely by the hundreds now. As a central clearinghouse, our commission has been documenting the cases, and what I have here is a Food and Drug Administration, United States Food and Drug Administration printout on a drug. This has never happened in history. There is no drug in history that has ever had so many adverse reactions reported to it by doctors all around the country as Prozac.
Over here, please.
So what steps is Eli Lilly taking? I would think they would be doing research or something to, because 3%, 7%.
They're stonewalling.
Yeah. Yeah, they said what they're trying to do to stop it or warning people.
We have a drug. We have a drug. Eli Lilly has 5 to 6 week trials when they know that this drug is going to be used. We know that people are in the kitchen baking for their family and they go ahead and hang themselves. We know that teenagers are out there having a great time of it and suddenly they swallow acid. We know that a husband with 4 children gets behind the wheel of a car at 80 miles an hour, strikes into a wall, and commits suicide. These are bizarre stories.
Over here, please.
Why don't the patients get off of this drug sooner? Does it do something to you that you don't realize that you're being affected?
The patient does not know that what's happening to them is happening. They think that these thoughts are appropriate, and they think that what's going on are their own thoughts. And that's noted in the Harvard Medical School report, which was in the American Journal of Psychiatry in January of last year.
What did you want to say, Jackie?
Like this lady over here who stated, well, isn't that part of the symptoms of the disease? See, that's used as a cop-out. Oh, they're diagnosed manic depressive, therefore they would have killed themselves anyway. That's bourgeois, total bourgeois.
Are you there, caller?
Yes, I disagree, because I was on the Prozac for almost 1.5 years. My doctor prescribed it to me, and so far, in the 1.5 years before I took the Prozac, I could not get raises. I could not have people jump on me. Now I took Prozac. I'm now calmed down. Now I get raises. People see a big change in me. My mother sees a big change. My whole family sees a big change. My girlfriend sees a big change.
Well,
and I see a psychologist.
We're happy for you. How old are you?
I'm 29.
You're 49.
No, 29.
Yeah, and you've been taking it for how long?
29.
Oh, you're 29.
Yeah.
You've been taking Prozac for?
1.5 years.
Very good. We got little phone bugs here. I'll give you a chance. I've got a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Today, there's important news on women's health. A woman's body can go through a lot. Any gynecologist will tell you. Becoming a woman, childbirth, vaginal yeast infections. It's important that now most women can cure their own recurrent vaginal yeast infections. Gynolotremin, prescribed millions of times by gynecologists, has just become available without a prescription, full strength, so women can immediately begin their cure. Only Gynolotremin brings early treatment, early cure. Gynolotremin.
When it comes to international furniture value, no one beats Dania. This complete sofa and love seat, both pieces, only $7.99. A complete bedroom, all 5 pieces at Dania, $2.99. Dania has it all in stock, ready to take home. Glass top dinette, the complete set, $6.99. Fine Italian leather sofas, the Oliver, $7.99. The elegant Florida, now only $9.95. Luscious leather recliners, $2.99. Step into Dania and take home the world for less.
If you're building or remodeling, this weekend's the time to save at the big Red Tag clearance sale at George Moreland Plumbing. At our giant warehouse in Tigard, we've slashed prices on fixtures, faucets, fiberglass, and more. Save up to 50%. So jump into savings this weekend at George Moreland Plumbing's Red Tag clearance sale in Tigard.
George Moreland Plumbing, the water heater king.
Subway bakes my bread up fresh, and that's my way. My way. I get a combo seafood club the best way. My way. Subway. You leave my sub in front of me, just the way it ought to be. It's fresh, it's hot, I know I got it. My way. Subway. My way. Subway.
You can win a road trip to L.A. with the Blazers, in as often as you like, at Subway.
It is estimated that over 20 million people will battle nighttime colds this year.
It's time for maximum strength.
Countless hours of rest will be lost. Lives disrupted.
It's time for maximum strength. Benadryl Plus Nighttime Cold Formula. Because even NyQuil doesn't give you all maximum strength ingredients. Relieve your congestion, aches, fever, and sneezing. Get Benadryl Plus Nighttime. Get maximum strength ingredients for the nighttime Cold War.
Join Jeff Gianola and Julie Emery weeknights at 5 and 11.
I have a question someone on the panel might be able to answer. What does the warning label read that comes with this prescription, and does the doctor go over it with you?
When the label first came out, it said absolutely nothing about suicide or violent behavior. 2.5 years after the drug was on the market, on May the 24th in 1990, for the very first time, it added the words suicide and violent behavior. And I say that is wrong. It is a disservice.
Okay.
It uses the American public as its guinea pig, and that should not be allowed.
Hold the mic here for me. If you join us late, we're talking about Prozac, which happened to enjoy a cover story in Newsweek. When? Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, March last year.
Cover story in Freedom Magazine.
And what these guests step forward to say is chilling. That for some users, terrible, terrible, ominous thoughts of self-destruction and destroying other people. We have a woman here who said she thought about killing her own kids. So when the brain chemistry gets altered to fix the depression, what else is going on up there? And who brings a predisposed brain chemistry to this foreign substance which triggers this kind of reaction? And as the Ralph Nader group might ask, why isn't the label more definitive in its warning? You wanted to ask.
I wanted to ask what fault you place before the FDA in all of this.
The FDA is a giant bureaucracy, and we know that with bureaucracies, particularly when they're so closely aligned with the pharmaceutical companies, there is a natural built bias. And many of the FDA executives, when they leave their jobs as civil servants, wind up working for the pharmaceutical houses. And that is a known historical fact.
Over here, please.
The governor of Florida, former Senator Lawton Childs, has been on Prozac for quite some time, and he does a splendid job. And certainly, he's had no problem.
There's no question that for a lot of people, it helps a lot of people.
Yes.
But for the small percentage, it is a nightmare. And those are the people we're concerned about.
Over here, please.
My psychiatrist put me on Prozac, and he told me to take it for 2 weeks. And I noticed after 5 days, I was getting more nervous. So I called him up, and he told me to discontinue it. So why didn't other people
Are you there, caller? Are you there? Go ahead.
My point is this. I've heard the connection made between these people having depression to begin with. Bill, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease last summer. I was given Prozac, as they said, to help deal with the stress of the disease. I told my doctor after a few weeks of this, you can have that pill. I will not take it. I noticed right after taking it, I would cry. I was weepy. I thought, oh, my God, I'm never going to get well. I'm going to die. I was racing at night. I couldn't sleep. I was making little lists, planning the next 20 years of my life. It was nuts. Keeping my husband up. He said, my God. I called my doctor. I said, no more of this. This makes me worse.
Jackie, Bonnie, anything quickly? I've got to break.
Yes, we need to know that there is an 800 number that can be called for the next 2 weeks. Will be manned 24 hours a day. Because we know there's people out there right now thinking about taking their lives and have no place to turn.
We'll be happy to give you that 800 number. Now, you're not going to solicit funds or anything. I mean,
Absolutely not.
I tell you, we live in a cynical marketplace here today, and I believe you. I truly do, and I thank you so much for the honest disposition you bring to our program. I have to break, and we'll do that in just a moment.
Each year, we eagerly seek the signs of the coming of spring. In nature, in the heavens, even in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. But here in Portland, there is a sign more dramatic. An event that announces spring is at hand. The appearance of the Saturday Market vendor. The premier marketplace of handcrafts returns March 2nd. Portland's Saturday Market, every Saturday and Sunday.
To test for perfect pasta, some people use hit-or-miss methods. But this isn't the way to make sure your pasta is just right. This is, because when you choose American Beauty, you can depend on the pasta to turn out perfect. Great. Every time. For over 75 years, American Beauty's been pleasing families meal after meal. So make sure our pasta is your pick of the pastas. American Beauty. Perfect every time.
At Pacific Linen, you'll always find sensational selection, top quality, hassle-free returns, and fantastic value. Like America's #1 towel, Royal Velvet. Fieldcrest makes a luxurious extra thick towel of 100% combed cotton terry. You'll choose from 28 fabulous fashion colors. Elsewhere, you would have paid $19 for the bath size. But now, a new low price at Pacific Linen, only $11.99. Royal Velvet, an outstanding value at Pacific Linen.
Choose the sport. Then sign up for the Channel 2 Sports Challenge at any of the 5 La Casa Real locations in Portland or Salem. If your name is chosen, you'll take on a member of the Channel 2 Sports team. Then watch the Channel 2 Sports Challenge Fridays on Channel 2 News at 5 and 6:30.
I should remind this audience that Eli Lilly, the one taking the heat because they are the prescribed, they have the patent on Prozac, alleges, perhaps not frontally but out loud, that much of the criticism coming against Prozac is originated by the Church of Scientology. We should say that, Mr. Clark, I believe you are a member of the Church of Scientology, and
That's correct.
When last I looked, that was legal to be a member of the Church of Scientology.
Phil, I thank God every day that there's an organization big enough and strong enough to take on.
I just want to get it all in here. Does the Church of Scientology, does it permit surgery, blood transfusions, and other mainstream medical treatments?
Absolutely. Normal, the point here is that Eli Lilly is not here because Eli Lilly knows that anything they say can and will be used against them in a court of law because they've got another killer drug on the market.
I got a lot of wisdom out here. Sir.
I'd like to know, I read that in Newsweek magazine that the Prozac works just like the MAO inhibitors, and I want to know why it's so widely prescribed if it does the same job as the MAOs.
It really doesn't. The point is, it works like an amphetamine. It's an upper. They know very little about it. It's the most powerful drug on the brain.
Yeah. We got real live medical students in this audience. I'll tell you what, we don't let everybody in here. Do I identify that correctly? You were where?
West Virginia University.
And you, what are you thinking as you listen in?
Anyway, I'm here listening, and I think that the issue is, I think that I'm hearing all of these tragedies, and I can feel for you. I'm very empathetic. But the issue that I think that needs greater emphasis is that why weren't anybody who is on the drug Prozac should be monitored underneath a physician, and it's not the physician's responsibility to make the patient calm. Yes, the patient is, so what I'm saying is that the burden of responsibility for the effects of this drug is on the patient. The patient needs to go to the doctor. The patient needs to go to the doctor regularly, and even though I understand what
They're telling us, but they're not listening because there are patients going to their doctors and telling them they're having side effects and they're doubling the dosage.
Yes, you wanted to say. Well, let her make her point. Yes, I think I understand you. But you know, one of the points they might make is if your mind is altered, how responsible are you going to be?
Well, no, but my point is, I understand that he was saying that you can't recognize those thoughts as being delusional. But if you go to a physician and even even if you don't say I'm having delusional thinking, you can just say.
Give her the mic.
I'm studying neurochemistry, but there's 1,000,001 chemical reactions that are going on in the brain. I mean, that this drug, Prozac, is affecting not only the serotonin, but it could be affecting something that is inherent. It's inherent to other chemicals reactions that are happening in the brain. It's not. I think we should. The research. It's not necessarily the drug. It's only 3 to 7%. It's not the drug. It's something else that's going on besides it.
We'll be back.
How does Betty Crocker make plain potatoes more appealing? Introducing home-style skin-on potatoes. Only Betty Crocker leaves the skin on for cheesy home-style skin-on potatoes with real appeal.
A cheese riddle. Excuse me, Giorgio. What do you get when you add mozzarella to an ordinary tomato? Something to sing about. That's right. Cheese makes it taste better. So don't forget the cheese.
I'm trying to call overseas with this other long-distance company. I think I remember the number, but I guess not. I call the operator, but she says she can't give me an international number. I say AT&T always could. She says, you're not dealing with AT&T.
If you miss dealing with AT&T, it's easier than ever to come back. Just call 1-800-251-8600 right now, and we'll switch you back for free.
They kept saying how much money I'd save, so I kept waiting for that first low bill. Then I get it. I'm not kidding. I thought it was a typo. I mean, where were the big savings?
People who thought they could do better than AT&T are coming back for the real value. Like the Reach Out America plan where you can save 24 hours a day. Come back now for free. Call 1-800-251-8600.
Takes longer to get through. They aren't saving me what they said, so why am I doing this? But I thought, you know what? It's going to be a real pain to switch back.
Coming back to AT&T is easy. All you have to do is call us. We'll have you back with dependable AT&T long-distance service in no time. And if you call right now, we'll even switch you for free.
The last straw, when it took so long to reach a real person. I had, some problems, some questions about my bill, but I kept having to wait. I mean, who has time for this?
You can count on AT&T to be there whenever you call. Just like you can count on us to make every conversation sound as clear as being right there. Don't wait to get back the service you deserve. Call now.
You gotta read the fine print.
Where's the big savings?
You gotta follow their rules. I couldn't believe it.
Why am I doing this? I don't get it.
They gotta be kidding. Big savings, huh?
You're not dealing with AT&T.
Oh, I am now.
1-800-251-8600 for dependable, crystal clear AT&T long-distance service. It's easy. And if you call right now, we'll switch you for free. You couldn't pick a better time to come back.
For a transcript of today's show, send $3 to Donahue Transcripts, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 1007, or call 212-227-READ.
I don't know about you, but I'm shocked.
Meet the controversial author who's teaching husbands how to cheat on their wives. Next, Donahue.
Yes, you wanted to say, caller.
Yes, I have been on Prozac for 3 months, and I have 6 kids. I'm laying here in bed. I've been on Prozac for 3 months. I just went off it Sunday night, and I'm still in this bed. I felt like I was going to drive my car off a cliff. Either that or take my whole life away.
Service is provided and promotional fees paid by the following.